On the night of May 3, 2007, the picturesque town of Praia da Luz in Portugal became the backdrop for a haunting mystery that still remains unsolved. A 3-year-old girl, Madeleine McCann, vanished without a trace from her family's holiday apartment. What happened to Madeleine? And why, after nearly 2 decades, do we still not have the answers? The story begins on May 12, 2003, in the city of Leicester, England, where Jerry and Kate McCann welcomed their first child into the world, a baby girl named Madeleine Beth McCann. Madeleine was the light of their lives. With her striking blue-green eyes and her adventurous spirit, she quickly became the center of her parents' world. Even as a baby, Madeleine had a charm that captivated everyone around her. Her unique coloboma, a rare mark in her right eye, made her unforgettable. Jerry and Kate McCann were no ordinary couple. Both were highly respected doctors. Jerry, a cardiologist, was dedicated to saving lives, while Kate, a general practitioner, balanced her career with raising their growing family. By 2005, their home was filled with even more joy. Madeleine became a big sister to twins, Sean and Amelie. The McCann's days were filled with laughter, toys scattered on the floor, and the occasional chaos of 3 young children. Life was busy, but fulfilling. The McCanns were the picture of a loving, hard-working family. But even the most perfect lives can be disrupted by forces beyond comprehension. In April 2007, the McCanns decided it was time for a break. Along with a group of close friends and their children, they planned a week-long holiday to Praia da Luz, a serene resort town on Portugal's Algarve coast. Praia da Luz was the perfect escape, a quiet haven with golden sands, sparkling waters, and a family-friendly atmosphere. For the McCanns, it was a chance to unwind and bond with their children. They arrived on April 28th, settling into apartment 5A of the Ocean Club Resort. The ground floor unit was cozy, with a small patio and easy access to the pool. It seemed like paradise. Madeleine was in her element. She loved the kids' club, where she made friends and spent hours drawing and playing. Her favorite moments, however, were by the pool with her parents and siblings. But as the McCanns enjoyed their holiday, small decisions were being made, choices that would later haunt them. The McCanns and their friends, later dubbed the Tapas 7, established a nightly routine. Each evening they dined together at the resort's tapas bar, just 160 feet from their apartments. It wasn't far, and the group took turns checking on their sleeping children every 20 to 30 minutes. It felt safe. After all, Praia da Luz was a quiet, tourist-friendly town. On May 3, 2007, the routine was no different. Jerry checked on the children at 9:05 p.m. The twins were asleep, and Madeleine lay peacefully in her bed, her pink and white pajamas illuminated by the nightlight. Satisfied, Jerry returned to the table, unaware that this would be the last time he would see his daughter. At 10 p.m., it was Kate's turn to check on the children. As she entered the apartment, a sense of unease washed over her. The bedroom door, which they'd left slightly open, was now wide ajar. The window was open, its shutters raised. Madeleine's bed was empty. Panic gripped her. Kate searched the apartment, calling Madeleine's name. She ran back to the tapas bar, shouting, "They've taken her! They've taken Madeleine!" The local police were called immediately, but they arrived hours later. As the sun rose on May 4, 2007, Praia da Luz was no longer the serene vacation spot the McCanns had envisioned. It had become the epicenter of a frantic search for a missing 3-year-old. The police combed nearby beaches, streets, and abandoned buildings. Flyers with Madeleine's face were distributed throughout the town. Volunteers searched tirelessly, calling her name into the early hours. But there was no sign of Madeleine. Inside apartment 5A, Kate clung to Madeleine's favorite toy, her heart sinking as each hour passed without news. But even as the search intensified, critical mistakes were being made. The scene of Madeleine's disappearance, apartment 5A, was not properly secured. Detectives and volunteers unknowingly contaminated potential evidence. Fingerprints, DNA, and any trace of the abductor were compromised. Within days, the story of Madeleine McCann had become a global media sensation. Her distinctive eye mark made her instantly recognizable, and her parents, Jerry and Kate, appeared on television pleading for her safe return.
Amelie's pajamas are the same, but obviously they're smaller. The top is a pink top, and it has the character Eeyore on and short sleeves. And the bottoms, as you can see, are white with a small floral pattern and Eeyore again on the bottom right.
As the world watched, theories began to circulate. Was it a targeted abduction? Witnesses reported seeing a man carrying a child near the McCann's apartment that night. Or was it a crime of opportunity? Madeleine's open bedroom window suggested someone had entered and taken her. This mystery man became the focus of international headlines. But as weeks turned into months, the trail began to grow cold. As public sympathy for the McCanns grew, so did suspicion. Questions were raised about their decision to leave their children alone while they dined at the tapas bar. Critics argued that such negligence had created an opportunity for the abduction. In September 2007, 4 months after Madeleine's disappearance, Portuguese authorities took a shocking step. Jerry and Kate McCann were named arguidos, or formal suspects in the case. Police claimed that cadaver dogs detected traces of human remains in the car the McCanns had rented after Madeleine went missing. This led to accusations that they may have been involved in her disappearance. However, these claims lacked solid evidence. Forensic testing on the samples proved inconclusive. By July 2008, Portuguese authorities officially cleared the McCanns of any involvement, but the damage to their reputation was irreversible. Through it all, the McCanns maintained their innocence and their determination to find their daughter. Months was passing into years, but there was no sign. After 3 long years, in 2011, the British government launched Operation Grange, a multi-million-pound investigation led by Scotland Yard. It was a long overdue review of the case that aimed to sift through the mountain of evidence and piece together the truth. Detectives faced a monumental task. Over 40,000 documents, including police reports, witness statements, and forensic results, were reviewed. Among them were pieces of evidence that had been ignored or mishandled in the early days of the investigation. One of the first revelations was the lack of a unified approach in the initial investigation. The Portuguese police had focused heavily on the McCanns as suspects, overlooking other critical leads. Scotland Yard re-examined witness reports, including one from an Irish family who claimed to have seen a man carrying a child near the McCanns' apartment on the night of the disappearance. Using advanced facial recognition software, they refined the sketch, giving a new face to the potential suspect. For Jerry and Kate, the reopening of the case offered a renewed sense of hope. The operation wasn't just a review, it was a fresh chance to uncover the truth. As Operation Grange unfolded, a clearer timeline of the night of May 3, 2007 began to emerge. Investigators discovered that multiple sightings of suspicious individuals had been reported around the Ocean Club in the days leading up to Madeleine's disappearance. One witness described a man loitering near the McCanns' apartment 2 days before the incident, appearing to observe the layout. Another report mentioned a van parked nearby, which was seen speeding away late that night. These clues pointed to the possibility that the abduction was premeditated. But there were other theories. Could it have been the work of a local who seized an opportunity? Or was it part of a larger child trafficking ring? As Scotland Yard followed these leads, they also re-examined phone records from the night of the disappearance. A phone number belonging to a man later identified as Christian Bruckner, a German drifter with a history of sexual offenses, was traced to the vicinity of the McCanns' apartment on the evening of May 3rd. Bruckner, who was living in a camper van near Praia da Luz, had a dark past. He had been convicted of abusing children and had a history of breaking into homes.
That he will attack sexually older people. He's a gerontophile, but he's also a pedophile. When the police seized his mobile phone records, there were all kinds of images, child sexual abuse images, and therefore this is a prime suspect that the German authorities need to rule out of their investigations.
In 2020, German authorities officially named him a suspect in Madeleine's case. During their investigation, they unearthed disturbing items, including child pornography and evidence linking him to other crimes. Yet, despite the mounting suspicion, there was no conclusive proof tying Bruckner to Madeleine's disappearance. Operation Grange also uncovered new witnesses who had been overlooked in the initial investigation. One woman claimed to have seen a man near the McCanns' apartment on the night Madeleine vanished, looking agitated and nervous. Another witness described seeing a vehicle parked near a secluded beach at an odd hour, with its headlights off and its driver acting suspiciously. Each testimony added another piece to the puzzle, but none were definitive. The case remained a web of possibilities, each thread leading to more questions than answers. In 2023, German authorities, working with Portuguese police, conducted an extensive search of a reservoir 30 miles from Praia da Luz. This location was known to be frequented by Bruckner. Although several items were recovered, none provided the breakthrough investigators had hoped for. The reservoir search was another chapter in a case that seemed destined to remain unresolved. Today, Madeleine McCann's disappearance remains one of the most perplexing mysteries of our time. Despite countless investigations, international collaborations, and millions of pounds spent, the truth remains elusive. Madeleine would be 20 years old now, a young woman with her entire future ahead of her. For her parents, the hope of finding her alive still burns, even as the years pass. The disappearance of Madeleine McCann is more than just a mystery. It's a story of love, loss, and an unyielding search for truth. As the years go by, one question remains: will we ever know what happened on that fateful night in May 2007?